Perhaps you've already noticed that your mouth moves on its own when you're thinking. It could be in the car, in the supermarket queue, or during that moment when you're alone in your room organizing ideas that no one else will hear. And maybe someone has already looked at you in a strange way, as if it were weird. But what most people don't understand is that this way of talking to oneself is not a flaw. In fact, it's an emotional superpower that your body uses to process the world in a way that very few people can. This is not a diagnosis. It's not a label. It's just a way to better understand how your body and mind work together in a silent and powerful way. If any part of this behavior seems familiar to you, share it in the comments. This is a quiet space to recognize yourself and better understand your own superpowers. The automatic way your mouth moves while you're thinking to yourself. There's a moment when your mouth starts moving and you don't even realize it. You're driving, washing dishes, or simply walking around the house, and suddenly you realize you're talking quietly. It's not that you decided to speak, it's that your body needed to release what was trapped inside your head. This happens because your mind works best when words leave your thoughts and take shape in the air. It's as if the body needs to hear its own voice to organize what's still confused inside. It's not madness. It's not loneliness. It's a natural way of bringing clarity to what you feel. This automatic way of talking to oneself is, in fact, a superpower of emotional self-regulation. While other people keep everything bottled up until it explodes, you release it little by little, processing it aloud. You transform the inner chaos into something that can be heard, understood, and resolved, even if only by yourself. How your body uses the external voice to organize the internal chaos of the mind. When you talk to yourself, it's not just your mouth that's working, it's your whole body trying to bring order to what seems chaotic. You might be going over a difficult conversation, planning the next day, or simply trying to understand why something bothered you. And then, without realizing it, you start to verbalize, "So I'll do it this way." No, this way is better. What's happening is that your brain needs to hear its own ideas out loud to know if they make sense. It's as if the mind is asking the body for help in filtering what is important and what can be discarded. You're not talking to avoid, you're talking to the part of yourself that needs clarity. This process is a superpower of mental organization that many people don't have. While other people get stuck in cycles of thought, you transform thought into sound and sound into decision. You create an external pathway for what's internal that gives you an emotional control that few can achieve on their own. The silent way you whisper decisions before making them in real life. There's a scene you might recognize. You're alone, staring into nothingness, and suddenly you start whispering options. If I do this, it will work. But if I do that, maybe it will be better. You are testing the words before putting them into action, like someone rehearsing an important conversation before it happens. This whisper isn't indecision, it's your body creating a safe space for you to experiment with choices without the weight of external judgment. You need to hear what each path sounds like before choosing which one to follow. It's a way to protect your mind from future regrets, because you've already experienced every possibility before living it. This way of rehearsing life in a low voice is a superpower of emotional anticipation. You don't act on impulse. You act after you've talked to yourself about what makes the most sense. And that gives you an inner security that other people only get after they've made a mistake. If you've noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right, this sounds like me. This helps this video reach more people who think and feel similarly. How your posture changes when you're talking to yourself without realizing it. You may never have noticed, But your whole body changes when you start talking to yourself. Your shoulders relax slightly, your breathing slows, and you might even tilt your head as if you were listening to someone. It's as if the body knows that this is a moment just for it and allows itself to be more authentic. When you are silent, you carry a tension that comes from keeping everything inside. But the moment event softly your body loosens, it's almost as if you're finally allowed to exist the way you truly are without having to pretend for anyone. This change in attitude reveals a superpower of emotional self-care. You know, even if subconsciously, that you need this moment of internal dialogue to reorganize yourself. And your body responds by creating a safe space where you can be fragile, confused, or intense without fear of being judged. The natural way your brain needs to hear its own words in order to trust them. Something curious happens to you. An idea only seems real when you say it out loud. It could be an important decision, a confusing feeling, or even a simple everyday thing. But while it's only in your head, it seems fragile, doubtful, as if it doesn't have enough strength to be true. Then you talk to yourself, "That's exactly what I want," or "No, that doesn't make sense," and suddenly everything becomes clearer. It's as if your brain needs to hear the sound of your own voice to validate what you're thinking. It's not a lack of confidence. It's a different way of processing reality, where sound confirms thought. This way of needing to hear it, to believe it, is a superpower of emotional authenticity. You don't accept just anything that crosses your mind. You test it, you question it, you validate it. And it's only after hearing your own words in the real world that you allow yourself to truly trust them. How do you use dialogue alone to test reactions before facing real people? Before a difficult conversation, you've probably rehearsed everything on your own at least once. It could be in the shower, in the car, or lying in bed staring at the ceiling. You repeat the phrases, test the tones, imagine how the other person will react all before you actually open your mouth. It's not because you're insecure, it's because your body needs to prepare itself emotionally for the impact of the outside world. You feel the words before you let them out. You test if they hurt, if they sound right, if they will be understood. It's as if you create a safe version of reality before facing the real version. This habit of rehearsing alone is a superpower of emotional protection and anticipatory empathy. You not only prepare to speak, you also prepare to listen, to deal with rejection, to avoid falling apart. While other people rush into situations impulsively, you go in knowing exactly where it might hurt, and you've already prepared your body to endure it. The way your body creates a safe space through your own voice. There are times when the world seems too heavy, too noisy, too crowded, and then you step away, even if only mentally, and start talking quietly to yourself. It's not escapism, it's the body creating an emotional refuge where you can exist without being invaded. Her voice becomes a kind of invisible fence that protects her inner world from external chaos. When you talk to yourself, you're telling your body, "It's safe here. Nobody judges me here. I can be myself here." It's a way of building a space that's just yours, even when you're surrounded by people or situations that destabilize you. This way of using one's own voice as protection is a superpower of profound emotional self-regulation. You don't depend on anyone to calm down, to get organized, to understand yourself. You carry within you the ability to create security. And that's something many people spend their entire lives searching for outside themselves. How do you process complex emotions? By speaking softly while walking or working, sometimes while you're walking around the house or doing some repetitive task. The words start to come out on their own. You didn't plan to speak up, but suddenly you're processing something that happened hours or even days ago. Why did he speak like that? Or I should have answered differently, and you unpack the situation in a low voice. What's happening is that your body is trying to process emotions that got stuck, that didn't have space to be felt at the right time. You can't just let it go. You need to understand, you need to name, you need to give shape to what you felt. And the only way to do that is by talking, even if it's just to yourself. This way of processing emotions while in motion is a superpower of active emotional intelligence. While other people swallow their feelings until they get sick, you gradually release them, giving a name to what hurts. You transform confusion into clarity, hurt into understanding, and you do it alone, without needing to expose your vulnerability to anyone. If this explanation has made things clearer about your personality, please comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this self-awareness community. The way your mind uses the sound of your voice as an anchor so it doesn't get lost in its own thoughts. There are days when your head feels like a whirlwind of thoughts that won't stop, that mix together, that leave you dizzy. And then, without realizing it, you start talking to yourself, and suddenly everything slows down a bit, becomes a little more organized. It's as if the sound of your own voice is a rope pulling you back to reality. When you're just thinking, your thoughts can go anywhere. They can drag you to dark or confusing places. But when you speak, even softly, you create a fixed point to hold on to. The voice brings you back to the present, to the here and now, to what really matters. Using the voice as an emotional anchor is a superpower of presence and mental control. You don't get completely lost in your own thoughts because you've created a way to rescue yourself. While other people need someone to bring them back, you've already learned to be your own anchor. Her true superpower is transforming loneliness into companionship through externalized internal dialogue. Ultimately, talking to oneself was never really about being alone. It's about transforming silence into presence, solitude into companionship, emptiness into dialogue. You've learned, perhaps without realizing it, that you can be enough for yourself, that your voice is enough. While other people feel lost when they are alone, you have created a way to never be completely alone. You carry within you someone who listens to you, who understands you, who validates you, and that person is yourself. It's not selfishness, it's not isolation, it's a profound form of self-companionship. This ability to be at peace with oneself is the rarest and most valuable superpower of all. You don't need an audience to exist. You don't need external approval to feel real. You've learned the art of being present for yourself, and that makes you emotionally free in a way that few people can be. If you've made it this far, you may have recognized something of yourself in these words. Perhaps you realized that this way of talking to yourself was never strange, it was just misunderstood. And now you know this is not a flaw, it's not loneliness, it's not madness. It's an emotional superpower that allows you to process the world in a unique, profound, and independent way. You carry within you the ability to organize yourself, to calm yourself, to understand yourself without needing anyone to do it for you. And that, ultimately, is emotional freedom. Have you ever noticed this type of behavior in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your personality, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at common daily habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.